And that is insane. And if you want to take a moral standing of an identity politics based on where you've been hurt, then we're going to do it about the working and middle class families of this country who's gotten the shaft over the last 30 years. And that is where we can go.
Oh my God, that made me want to kill myself. I mean, it is the neoliberal wing of the party, as represented by Hillary Clinton, who foisted identity politics on us in an attempt to block Bernie Sanders, who was actually talking about working class people and trying to deliver for them. That makes the way to your point about Obama. Sorry to jump in, but Obama was good at getting himself elected. How did the Democratic Party do under Obama? They lost 1,000 state house legislative seats across the country. They lost governor's mansion. They lost rural America. That happened under Obama. So don't tell me about how great he was for the party, because yeah, he was good at getting himself reelected, but they lost the House, they lost the Senate, they lost the state houses, they got totally destroyed in redistricting because of the Tea Party wave. And guess who gets elected after Obama? Donald Trump.
Now, I don't know that Krystal's comment about Obama is necessarily accurate. I was never an Obama guy, but he certainly seemed interesting. At the time, I was not involved in politics at all. I didn't know anything about what the Democrats were and what they did versus Republicans. I didn't know what the word conservative meant. I didn't know what the word liberal meant, progressive. I didn't know any of that stuff. All I knew is I felt like politics in this America were a disaster. I think it was very dishonest. I think it was very tribal. And I didn't really see a difference between Democrats and Republicans back then. Obama was such a big deal that even as a non-political person, I did hear a lot of the buzz and this energy. A lot of it focused on race, being a brown-skinned president. I did recognize he spoke well, seemed like a cool guy or whatever, but I never got to the point of like, yeah, Obama, but I've never been that way about any American politician. Bernie Sanders remains the only politician that piqued my interest. I found Obama interesting, but I found Bernie Sanders to be the closest thing that I could think about in terms of a politician that I might actually support. If Bernie Sanders was running back then and I was voting back then, which I wasn't, I would have probably voted for Bernie Sanders, but I was by no means a Bernie guy. Didn't really know much about Bernie, to be honest. That being said, I don't think Krystal is necessarily giving an accurate picture about Obama. I know it's convenient to, we're very tribal in this country, right? So if you're on the left, right, the in thing, the tribal thing perhaps, is to be anti-liberal, right? And then being that Obama would be looked at as a liberal president, then that means he's supposed to be the bad guy. So if you don't think deeply enough about your political perspectives, I could see you falling into maybe bashing and attacking Obama, maybe more than is necessary. I think there's definitely things to criticize Obama for. I mean, you could talk about the drone warfare. You could talk about him not necessarily delivering in terms of going far enough in terms of how he dealt with the banks, the bailouts and all that kind of stuff. So there's certainly things to criticize Obama for. But again, if you're a typical American tribal person and you're on the left, again, the default is going to be Obama's the bad guy, focus on all the negativity regarding Obama. He's a liberal. He's not a real progressive, and progressives, they're the right ones. Or if you're a socialist, socialism, that's the way to go, right? He's like an elite, blah, blah, right? But if we think deeper than that and not just be tribal about it, then from that lens, we evaluate it as a fact. Obama did suffer historical losses. That is something not to be ignored when you're trying to critique Obama, right? You want to critique Obama, you look at his losses and you look at it in contrast with previous presidents. When you do that, you see historically bad. Now, if you are a Obama apologist, then you don't go too deep. You just go surface level says, and this is actually what I was about to do, but I like to be accurate in what I'm saying, and I try to think deeply about things and not just like talk out of my ass. So if I just jumped up and made a video, I would have said things like, that's actually dishonest what Krystal said because it's normal. Like, what do you expect at the end of, this is literally what my position was going to be. What do you expect at the end of a 2-term presidency? Let's talk about that first of all. Let's at least handle the surface level, and then let's go a little bit deeper, talk about Obama. Stick with me. Click on the like button, subscribe, nonpartisan, objective analysis like you're going to see nowhere else. Surface level is, this is normal, right? And that is partially true. And I'll explain why. And this is a very sad reality that I figured out some time ago, just in my own analysis of American politics. I came to the conclusion that, and this is really depressing when you think about it, the better you are, the worse things get. Let me illustrate. Let's say Kamala Harris had won. Let's say Kamala Harris had done everything that Krystal Ball, for example, would want her to do, right? So she's a real progressive president. She did all these wonderful progressive things. And because of that, she wins a second presidency. So Kamala Harris does 2 consecutive presidencies like Obama did. Very likely that the Democrats would lose at the end of her second term. They would have started losing House seats and Senate seats throughout the tenure of her first and second term, so accumulating, I can't speak right now, accumulating, whatever, you know what I mean, at the end of the second term, I got so much stuff going on. At the end of her second term, they would probably suffer a major loss. Here's why that happens. The better you are as a president, the more comfortable the people get, your base gets, right? So Kamala Harris, she's been doing a great job. Housing is much better. Salaries are up, all the stuff that you guys would want. She did major accomplishments with healthcare. So a lot of the base is comfortable. They're finally getting to enjoy life. They're not struggling as much. There's a lot less pain. So people are smiling, they're happy, right? And then a midterm election comes and it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'll go. And then they don't show up, right? Because it's not that big of a deal. What are you voting for? Everything's great. Your life is great, right? Then the election comes at the end of her second term and it's kind of like the base is gone, right? The base is on vacation, right? They just bought a new house. They got a new car. They're chilling, man, right? They got that Medicare for all, whatever it is. They chilling, man. So they ain't trying to come out. I'm sorry to say it, man, but the reason that people go out to the polls is because they're mad, right? They're mad. So Kamala does a bad job and, housing gets worse. Inflation gets worse, right? Then that's going to be something where, you're going to get a lot of pressure to come out. So both the opposition party is going to use that to get a lot of people to come out, but also the Democrats can get people to come out because if they can get a change candidate on their side, there's a potential of, you may not win, but you can get numbers, right? If Kamala, after a year of Kamala and everything's falling apart and she sucks and there's some new Democrat coming around and like, this is not enough and Kamala's not doing the job and blah, blah, and we need more. And he's like a progressive type guy, like a younger Bernie Sanders. And then you can get people out to the polls because they're mad. But if they're happy, what they voting for? I know in a perfect world, they're voting because it's important and if you want things to continue on the track that they're on. But unfortunately, the reality is people are selfish, right? If they don't feel a need, right? There's no need. They generally, things are good. They don't have this like pent up, like, oh my goodness, I need better. The government is failing me. If they don't have that, then they're just focused on their own lives, trying to get that new job. I'm trying to start my new business. I got a new relationship, just got married, whatever it is. They're focused on their own self, their lives, right? But when they're mad and angry and things are falling apart, then it's like you can tap into that and like, you need more. And then they come out. So what that means is surface level. Of course, Obama had those big losses at the end of his second term. That is normal. That is usually what happens. However, if you go deeper than just surface level, then you realize it's not just a matter of like, there's degrees, there's levels, right? That's one thing a lot of people miss in this country, their critical thinking. They think too surface level, too binary, black, white, up, down. There's levels, man. There's a gradient in between. So yes, it's normal to have big losses, but not that level of losses. What she said is accurate. It was like 1,000 seats. That is not normal. That is a historically bad turnout. That goes against the normal pattern of what would happen. So that says something was historically bad. Now, I guess that's the level of analysis that Krystal Ball is giving us. But I would propose to you that, props to her for getting that level, at least. She's not just surface level. She's recognizing, I don't know if she does or she doesn't, but let's say in theory, she knows that you're supposed to lose. Not supposed to, but that's the normal thing. But she knows that this is not a normal end of term loss. This is like historic, right? So let's say she gets that. But did she just stop there as a partisan, as a, she's in that, again, tribal, right? If you're like a progressive, liberals are supposed to be bad guy. So does she dig deep enough to find a deep enough level critique for Obama, which supports her natural instincts to go against the liberals, and then she just stops there? Or does she do like I do and continue to dig and do further analysis, look at it from different perspectives, different angles, and not be confirmation biased? I'm not trying to arrive at a conclusion that agrees with my feelings. I'm trying to find out the truth. How bad or good was Obama, right? I want to answer that. I don't want to pander to people who like him or don't like him. I'm not looking to get clicks on YouTube or whatever it is. I want to get to the bottom of what happened with Obama. And although I don't have the time, I'm not getting paid for this. It's a charity channel, basically. So I'm not going to spend excessive amount of time digging into this for free. So, but I did spend more time, perhaps than maybe Krystal did, and dug a little deeper. And what that took me to is, yes, we can agree Obama could have done better. He had his failures for sure. However, the historical losses that he suffers, I don't think, his failures necessarily fully account for them. I think this was a unique moment in time in American politics. I think if his presidency was perhaps 10 to 20 years earlier, if that would have been possible, maybe, even if they had the normal losses, it would be the normal losses and not so bad. Unfortunately, to Obama's credit, and again, with the limited time that I had to look into this, it would appear that Obama may have gotten burned for doing the right thing. Obama seems to me to be, I'm not eligible to be president, I'm not born here, and I would never run for president anyway, but Obama seems to be potentially the type of president that I would be with one major difference or distinction. Too soft. I think the part of him that would connect with me is perhaps some level of integrity. I'm not saying he's an honest guy or a dishonest guy. Everybody has a level of integrity. Some people it's very low, some people are very high. So maybe his integrity was higher than average, perhaps. And therefore, he had good intentions, and those good intentions might have been his undoing. What I mean by that is, it seems to me that Obama was, I hate to bring up a Kyle Kalinske, but there might be a parallel. Please recognize that I said there's a parallel between Obama and myself, even though there's a key distinction, which I'll explain in a second. So don't take it as a knock necessarily that I'm saying there's a parallel with Kyle Kalinske. Has a level of naivete to him. Like, he was slow on Russell Brand, realizing what he was about and some other things. I think he's getting the message now, but he's a little bit late to the game in terms of how bad things are. And I think that's kind of how Obama was, a little bit naive. He didn't recognize how savage the Republicans were. And I think that he, and this is where the parallel comes in, he wanted to govern the way that I would want to govern from this perspective. I would want to govern for America, not for the left, not for the right, not for the Democrats, not for the Republicans. And I realized the whole thing about, if I'm going to run as a, in one particular party, let's say I'm running as a Democrat, I realized that, hey, I'm supposed to, in theory, support the party or something like that. But whatever, that has nothing to do with me as a person, right? I can both recognize that and also prioritize my values. And my values are deliver for the American people. I hate to say it, but fuck the party, right? And that's probably why I shouldn't be president, even if I could be president, because I think that's problematic, right? You're president and you're a Democrat, and then you're like saying F the Democrats. There's so many problems with that, right? From a management standpoint, I mean, you can't just like fix everything by yourself, right? Like Trump thinks he can. I would need to establish relationships. I would need the respect of the party and the members of Congress, because when I'm trying to pass legislation, I need them to support my agenda. And if I just have a like fuck everybody attitude, that's going to be problematic, right? But again, that's why I wouldn't be in politics. The inside. I'll be on the outside, not on the inside. But I would govern for America. I would focus on policy, not party. And it seems that is what Obama tried to do. He, interestingly enough, maybe he got this from Joe Biden, that nonpartisan thing, he's trying to reach across the aisle and that kind of stuff. But meanwhile, Republicans were giving him the middle finger, obstructing him, blocking everything. And then the Tea Party. So in a moment when the Republicans, I guess this is what led us to where we are today, when the savage nature of the current Republicans, F everybody. It's all about winning. It's all about power. We don't care about precedent. We don't care about norms. We will do whatever dirty. We will lie, cheat, steal. We gotta win. Dogs, just saliva dripping down out of their mouths, right? That was perhaps the birth of what we see today. I think some parts of it started before that, of course, but I think this was a big part of what we now see today, the MAGA movement, right? So this Tea Party was savage. The Republican Party was savage as well, gerrymandering, rigging the system in their favor, just accumulating power at all costs. So essentially, Obama might have been a guy who goes and he's trying to street fight, but he's following boxing rules, right? Nothing below the belt. He's using gloves, right? But it's an underground street fighting ring. Anything goes, right? No holds barred. So Obama's in a no-holds-barred era, and he's got this kind of, I hate to say squeaky clean, because I don't think Obama's squeaky clean, but let's just say he got a little bit of that going on, or at least he's not a savage. What do you think's going to happen if you go boxing rules in a street fight with no holds barred? They're no holds barred, but you're like not below the belt. You're going to get wiped out, right? So what that means is, if Obama had done the things that a lot of progressives and far-left people would say he should have done, perhaps instead of 1,000 seats, it might be 500 seats, it might be 300 seats. Maybe it's so good that it's like 30 seats. But he probably would have lost. I'm sorry, not probably. The Democrats would have still been out of power at the end of 2 terms of Obama. That's just the way our politics work, for the reasons I described in the beginning of this video. And as far as the contrast between me and Obama, what would be the separation is, yes, I would try to be the president of America, not the president of, the Democrats or, liberal cities or whatever. No tribal, partisan, whatever. I want to uplift rural America, right? The coast, the South, right? I know you can't fix everything and you can't, there's going to be limitations, but I would want to govern for America. But a key distinction is, at the same time, I would be savage, ironically, but a good savage. A savage with a heart, a savage with integrity, a savage with values. What I mean by that is, now there's parallels between me and Trump. I would be headed down a similar path to the way Trump is going, but I would be doing it for noble reasons. But I would definitely be pushing to the very edge of what is possible, because that is necessary. I would recognize the gravity of the conditions in America and how bad things have gotten for the poor and middle class, and realize that drastic measures are necessary. So I guess the best example of what kind of president I would be is, I would be, in many ways, the president that Trump pretends to be. Trump pretends like he loves America and he's fighting for the people and all, but that's all bullshit. He's just for himself. But I would actually be, in reality, the character he plays on TV. I would be living that. So instead of me doing some fake Doge, whatever, if I wanted to clean it up, I would hire the best auditors in the country. I would be focused on making the parts of our government that are designed to look for fraud and waste, I would be looking at how we can make them better, right? If this is what their job is and this is what they've been doing, right, and yet we still have all this corruption, I would want answers. I would have meetings with these guys, the IGs, all of the guardrails that we have, all of these people that are supposed to do what Doge is pretending to do. I would have a meeting with all of them, right? And they would have some tough questions to answer. I would, interesting enough, probably there might be some firings as well. But firings not to dismantle them. I would be looking to get better people in there. Maybe they need more resources. They need more people. Like, I would want answers. Why is it that monopolies are still going on? Why are these certain rules not being enforced? What's with the money in politics? What's going on? Look at what Elon Musk just did with all his donations and super PACs. Like, what is going on, right? So I would focus on the groups that are already there to look for fraud and waste, find out where the gaps are, and fix them. I'd put good people in there, not loyalists. I don't want anybody loyal to me. I want loyal to the American people. I don't care what your politics are. I just care that you're going to serve the American people. I'm going to be focused on different things as the president. So, I want you to be able to take the lead. Maybe there's things that I'm not aware of that you'll pick up on. I mean, if there's issues and I'm getting, things are coming to my desk that you're not doing a good job, then, we'll sit down and have a meeting and try to understand, like, what's the issue? Why am I getting these complaints? Are these complaints legitimate? I need to make a move. I need to address something. Do we need to get somebody else in here? Is there some way I can help you? Right? Otherwise, I get good people, let them do their thing to the point where they may disagree with me on things, but I will respect their expertise as long as I see that they're good people, can have good integrity, and they're really for the people. Let you do your thing within limits. Again, if I'm hearing a lot of noise saying that, you're not doing a good job, then I'm going to want to step in either directly, or there should be a chain of command, somebody who is over that person that should be doing their job and addressing it. And if they're having issues, come to me as the president, like, hey, Mr. President, our IGs are not doing their job. Talk to them. They're not listening. I need you to intervene. That'll be my approach, right? So enhancing all of these regulators and people that are supposed to protect the American people, CFPB, right? I would be talking about, you guys have done great work. How can we do more of this? Because I think we need a lot more than what you've been doing. I think what you've done is great, but it's inadequate. What's the problem? How can we get you guys doing more? You've done a lot you should be proud of what you accomplished, but how can we get more? You need more money, more resources. What's the deal, right? In this moment in time, if I didn't feel like whoever's ahead at CFPB is not top notch, like bulldog, with what he's doing, I might give him an ultimatum. Like, listen, I want to see you step up to this level, and you have. And if they deliver, great. If not, then we replace them, right? So that's the main distinction. I would be the guy Trump pretends to be. I would try to govern for America as I think Obama might have been trying to do, but I'd also be a savage about it. I'd be much more aggressive. I ain't falling for no Mitch McConnell and all this kind of bullshit. Nah, man, get it done. No matter what, with the very limitation of within the law, right? And if we need to do legislation, I will push the hell out of Congress to pass legislation so we can modify the law so it can do what needs to be done, right? As opposed to me just circumventing Congress and doing this illegal stuff that Trump does. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Tell me your thoughts. This is Baby Channel. Debate in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. I'm out.